Hey Dyken, if I want to get into Melty Blood before Type Lumina comes out, is there anything I should be focusing on to get a head start? You know, you're like the third person to actually ask me that. All right, let's go over it then. Okay, so what should you do if you want to play Melty Blood before Type Lumina comes out, because the game's coming out in like a week? So let's talk about things I think you should focus on in this game before the game actually comes out that will definitely give you a heads up so you can be familiar with these type of things. So inside of Melty Blood, some of the biggest things you're going to have to worry about, I would say first one is definitely going to be probably like movement. Movement is very, very important in this game. A lot of the footsies in this game are going to be played in the air just because of how strong an air to ground attack is, or how strong air to air counter hits are. As we always talked about, if a person get counter hit in the air in this game, they cannot tech until they are on, they cannot tech until they hit the ground. So, you know, fishing for counter hits in the air is very strong because you can pick up for combos and go for setups and stuff depending on the type of character that you're playing off the combos from just a single jab inside the air. So understanding how the movement in this game works is very important. There's a lot of things to go over, and there's some things we don't really know that's going to be inside of Type Lumina. Like for example, this game has the air drift, so if you press up you can sort of like drift back and forward. This is very strong for certain characters. This character obviously is not in the game, but you know, stuff like this can be definitely crucial to certain people's game plans, because you can sort of like drift to one side, as you can see. But I can also just stay on the same side if I want to. So if I don't want to drift to the other side, I can stay on the same side and like go for a mix up that way. So it can make it pretty tricky. Like, see, I didn't go to the opposite side that time, but if I want to go to the opposite side, I can just sort of let it happen by just keeping in neutral position, because this game sort of takes the dash momentum and it sort of just hops over. But I can like sort of not let that happen. So understanding things like that, like the drift system, understanding the type of movement options you have when it comes to your air dashes. So you get an air dash and then 2 jumps. Normally that's what everybody gets. So understanding these options, understanding that some characters can actually do options into other options when it comes to air attacks. So as you can see, you can cancel this. By the way, I would imagine, especially because I think I saw it, the Type Lumina also has a thing where you can use a symbol command for dashing. So A plus B is going to give you dash. It can also do it on the ground for you. So dash on the ground and in any air by pressing A and B. I believe it's also going to be in Type Lumina as well, especially since they're trying to be more accessible. That seems like something they would want to keep inside the game for sure. So definitely get used to the movement and definitely get a feel for how this game actually feels when trying to like move in the air and fish for counter hits. Understanding like, you know, how to position yourselves underneath your opponents, or how to position yourselves inside of the air to better fish for hits versus your opponents. You know, this game has a lot of things where like you can super jump as well. So the super jump also is a thing. You can use the super jump in completion with, as far as like, you know, how far you can leap on the screen. Understanding the dash, different dashes of characters. So some characters dash differently. So you can see this is Nania's dash. But if we go to like Roa here and we actually record, you see he has a much longer dash. So there's differences in like how characters dash around the screen. So understanding and getting a feel for like the type of dash that you think your character may have based on like the footage that we saw and stuff like that. You know, think about that and try to use that to your knowledge as far as like how you're actually playing the game. Okay, so I guess the next important thing would be to cover reverse beats for you guys. Now I want to make this into a whole video, so I'm going to touch on this briefly about how important it's going to be for Melty Blood Type Lumina as well. So reverse beat is obviously the system that you can basically cancel any normal into the other normal in any sequence. So typically in anime games, you can only go from like A, B, C. You can only go from the lowest strength to the highest strength. But with reverse beat, you can go from the highest strength to the lowest strength, or the highest strength to the medium strength. And this will allow you to create block strings that are a little bit more ambiguous. Now, what makes this system more potent in this game that we can definitely see is, at least in special cancels inside of Type Lumina, is that A normals on whiff can go into special cancels. So what I mean is you can special cancel these on whiff. You can also, in this game at least, I haven't seen it in Melty Blood Type Lumina, but something to keep in mind, especially if it's in there, so you should probably want to practice it if it is, the fact that A normals can also cancel into other normals. So you see I'm canceling directly into the normal. As I press the button, I'm pressing them in sequence. I am canceling into the normal. So not only can you special cancel them, but you can also normal cancel them, which is insane that you can do that. So very, very strong as far as that goes. So definitely you want to get used to how pressure works as far as reverse beating, and understanding how reverse beating can change the way your pressure works. understanding the different types of pushback there are when you do reverse beats is also very important, because you can negate certain pushbacks. For example, here, if I do this block string with Nanya, 2A, 2B into like 2C, 5C, and I immediately do a 5A reverse beat, you can see how far he gets pushed back. But if you slightly delay it, you can see how closer he is. So understanding that different delays can also change how close you are, so you can actually change the way you approach your pressure next after you do the whiff cancel would definitely help you. So just mess around with reverse beats, see what the characters can do, and just understand how the system works and just practice it doing it. All right, shielding. So obviously shielding is going to be very important to Melty Blood Type Lumina as well. Now shielding is something you definitely want to get used to. Now shielding is going to work a little bit differently in this game as compared to Melty Blood Type Lumina, as this game isn't going to have those universal options tied to it, but just the basics of shield and understanding like how to shield and what to shield can definitely go a long way as far as getting started early. So there's going to be a standing shield, there's going to be a crouching shield, and there's going to be a jumping shield, just like how we saw in Melty Blood Type Lumina, right? Now, one thing to keep in mind is this game has a property as far as shielding that allows you to shield mid-A attacks. It allows you to shield mid-A attacks, standing or crouching. Now, normally when you're doing crouching ones, you mainly want to do it for just crouching attacks, but for those attacks specifically, if it's a mid-low attack, then you can shield those crouching as well. Now, mid-medium attacks, you would have to shield those standing, because the low shield is mainly supposed to be used for like lows, and this one is mainly supposed to be used for like the highs and mids. So just give me an example here. Okay, so now that I got Roar crouching, notice how he reacts to my normals with his shield. So if we do the 2A, he's going to shield this crouching. If I do 2B, 2C, all going to get shield crouching. Now, if I do a standing 5B, he has to stand up. This is also a mid. So this is a low, this is a low, but this 2A is a mid. But because it's a low button, or it's an A button and it's mid, he can actually do this crouching. Now, if I was to have a 5A, now if I do 5A, look, he's going to do this crouching. I mean, standing, right? He's doing the standing. So if this was to hit him like that, he would have to stand for this. But if my 5A, which some characters have, like Akia, it has a 5A low, you will obviously have to block that one with a crouching shield because it's a low attack. So the medium and the heavies, anything standing, actually got to be done with the standing shield, and then mainly the lows have to be done with the low shield. But 2As are an exception that you can do them both with a standing and crouching shield. Now, understanding what you can shield is also just as important. Now, I think you can shield just about everything inside the game outside of like unblockables, or maybe you can do a few unblockables, but a lot of things can actually be shielded. So if there's certain situations where you're like, okay, I don't think I can like anti-air here, or like my anti-airs don't feel that good, shield can also just be a good way to anti-air. As you can see, you can shield, and then with Melty Blood Type Lumina, you will have those different follow-ups that you can utilize. You could probably do the shield and then go into the launcher for a punish and stuff like that. So just keep in mind that shield can definitely be the way that you try to anti-air opponent stuff. Now, of course, obviously, if they read you trying to shield and they do like an empty jump and you shield and then they just go for the big punish, you're going to be taking a lot of damage. So don't rely on it too much, but it is something that you can utilize if you have a read on your opponent as far as like how they're about to try to come in on you. Also, just keep in mind, you can also use it for projectiles like we saw plenty of times when it came to Melty Blood Type Lumina. So if you're fighting against a projectile in this game, just make sure you try to use shields sometimes and try to get used to doing that, because that's going to be something that's going to be very strong inside of Melty Blood Type Lumina as far as how shields are looking with all the different follow-ups and stuff you could utilize from that type of option. It's going to be something that you're going to be seeing a lot. I guess characters are important to go over too. Yeah, let's go over characters. So obviously in this game, there are different moons that you could pick for characters. However, in Melty Blood Type Lumina, there's not going to be moons. So you just want to pick the version of the character that is the most similar. Now, I don't know every single one, but I do know a few. Like, I know Roar for sure is going to be based off his half moon version. Then I think Arquade may be mainly her C version. Then for Akia, it seems mainly going to be like her full version is going to be this one, the Seppuku version. I think this one is mainly Crescent as far as Miyako goes. Then there is Shiki. I think he's mainly going to be his Crescent as well. Ciel, mainly Crescent. And I think Wark, as far as we saw for Red Arquade, she seems to be mainly, to me, also Crescent. I know she doesn't have the eye lasers though, but it seems like everything else seems to be pretty similar. So yeah, just pick a character that's mainly similar to what you're going to be looking at inside that game. So just pick a character like a full moon and then like half here, and just get used to how these characters feel, because not everything's gonna be similar most of the characters inside Melty Blood Type Lumina are going to be based off a version of the moons. They also are stealing moves from like other versions of their moons as well. Like they have like 1 or 2 moves that you may see that they don't have in this move set that may be in the other move set. There's a little bit of combination. Some characters are like combinations of like a couple of moons, but you could also just see that, you know, you can just get a feel for like how the characters may play a little bit inside those games and just get a feel for their general game plan and like see if you like it. Now, I wouldn't worry too much about going crazy into combos. One of the main combos we really see inside the game is going to be like BC air throw. I mean, if you're a new player, you know, make sure you go if you could do that combo at the very least. A lot of characters seem like they're going to have this, especially from the review that we read. It seems like this is going to be a very prominent combo for a lot of characters, at least universally. We don't know if it's going to be obviously the strongest. It seems to be a little bit different inside that game. It seems like the new meme is like ground combo into like an air hit, bounce them back down to the ground, relaunch, and then BC air throw. It seems like it's going to be the combo now. But just understanding how this combo theory works at this point, and understanding what your character can do off the option, because every character does different things, right? Aki is very close to you still, as you can see. But if I do that with Roa, as you can see, he pushes himself a little bit further away. So because he's doing that, he's going to play a different range. He don't have time to like dash back in and actually like try to put pressure on you. It's a little bit too slow, right? So the character can actually like jump out and stuff. So just understanding, okay, this character doesn't have like the best like stay on me when they do air throw. So what are my options to like try to attack the opponent? This is where understanding how the neutral works, because sometimes hits just go back to neutral in this game and you have to be comfortable with that. So just understanding, okay, how can I play the neutral in this situation? How can I try to keep my opponent inside the corner while maintaining this advantageous position for me is definitely going to be the most beneficial thing for you to learn. All right, so I think that's about it for things to cover for getting ready for Melty Blood Type Lumina. I don't think I missed anything. Is there any questions about that, chat?